Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of This Week in ZA, the podcast where we dive into the world of software engineering over a fresh slice of pizza. I'm Kodad, here with my co-host Chad on the other side of the couch there. And every week we sit down with professionals from the industry to talk about culture, projects, and everything in between while eating some good pizza. Today's guest is Ted. We are eating the Randy Ross from Lazari's, which includes cream cheese, spicy pepperoni, spicy chicken, and I think something else under the cheese I'm not detecting there. So stick around to get some great insights, share a laugh, and maybe leave a little bit hungry so you can go grab a slice of your own. Why don't we dive right into it?
This is what we like to start with is, maybe kind of tell a little bit about yourself. Okay. And we really want a really good mistake. And ideally a funny mistake.
You already know what this one's going to be.
I know where you're probably going.
Yeah.
Although I've said this before, in our Bill episode, we had to ask him 3 times to get the mistake I wanted out of him. Because he just kept going down like this path.
He had a lot to choose from.
Yeah, we really had to lead the witness there.
Yeah, we had to at the end, no, we stopped the cameras. That's the one we want.
The other diarrhea story, Bill.
Yeah, why doesn't that surprise me at all? It's funny.
All right.
Okay, well, I'm Ted Larson. I'm the IT guy here at No Panic Labs. I'm kind of responsible for basically everything related to IT and making sure everybody here can do their jobs without having problems, and everything from licensing to security to wireless to networking. I kind of do it all, so that's my role here. My biggest mistake. I've worked with Chad for a long time, like way back from the 2010.
Almost 20 years.
Yeah, almost 20 years. Yeah. So he's been with me through this pretty wild journey of IT.
That is a big mistake.
Yeah, that was. But back in the early days, way back, we worked at a company called Accelerate, which was a global commerce platform that we developed, and I was kind of IT back then as well. And we had to have basically a data center inside of our own building made of these hand-built PCs that we built because we couldn't afford real servers at the time, right? Sure. So we had a whole rack full of them. There was probably 20, 25 of them running our production environment inside this room. And we had a UPS hooked up where all these things were plugged into. But we were running out of room to add more servers in there. We just didn't have the space for it. So we started plugging them into the other outlets in the room, right? So to try it, because we needed the space for them. And then our wonderful owner back then, by the name of Steve Keene, liked to tinker with things on his own to try to figure out problems and whatnot. So he, without telling anybody, especially me, told me that decided he was going to hardwire all the outlets in the walls directly to the UPS. Why? That way we could hook up computers around the room and it would still be backed up by the UPS for power. Oh. Because we were out of space on the rack. We had nowhere else to put more PCs. He didn't tell me he did that. So one day I'm at work walking around. I kind of went into the server room and said, man, the carpet's really dirty. This really could use a good vacuuming, right? So you can probably all already figure out where this is going, but yeah. So I grabbed the vacuum in the middle of the day, plugged it in, and I'm doing my little janitor duties. And then people come flying into the room really quick and saying, the whole environment's down. I'm like, what? What's going on? I look over, all the machines are off. Why? Of course, because UPSs usually don't support the load required to run a vacuum and kick the breaker off on the back of the UPS. So I took the whole production environment down because I decided to clean the room. So that was kind of a mistake.
The lesson learned is don't clean, right. But if you had another lesson learned, what would it be? Would be
make sure communication is really good inside your organization. So if you're going to do something kind of radical like that, you should probably let everybody know. So I got this, it's not my fault. But, that was kind of embarrassing. But
I think I wasn't there when that happened, but within my first few days of being there, that story was told to me.
You heard about it.
It was stuff you need to know packet.
Yeah, it was don't vacuum in the server room.
I kind of had to live that down. Everybody wouldn't let me forget about that for several years.
That was,
I had to age everybody out, in essence, basically. The people are no longer here that remember that. So why am I sharing with you? Well, now it's going to get new life. So
yeah, actually, here, the only other person that would even know that, just really Doug, other than kind of second
probably, yeah. Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's
that would
good.
be my biggest mistake
That's fair.
for sure.
So usually we move on to the pizza rating now.
Okay.
Yeah, well,
just to give you
let's
the-
get a couple good bites in.
Yeah,
Okay.
the pizza scale, it's a 1 to 10 ranking. You can go into tenths if you want, or just hold numbers like Chad does. A 1 or 2 is usually a pizza that's bad enough that you're not going to finish it, a bite or two, and then you're done with it. Anything from a 3 to a 5 is a slightly below average pizza. 5 to a 7-ish is usually a slightly above average pizza, and you can put some nuance in there. Usually what we tell people is if you're getting into the 9s and 10s, that upper area, that's a pizza so good you're going to eat it until you don't feel good.
Oh,
You're not
okay.
going to leave any leftovers kind of thing.
So
Not
that's
that you-
7 through 10.
Yeah, once you get up there, that's usually how we judge it. Not that you have to go team no leftovers.
Right.
We have before in previous episodes, but
Okay.
It's rough in the middle of the day to go team no leftovers, but
yeah,
Got it.
says you
yeah.
quitter.
Well, I'll preface. So I'm.
Yep.
I'll preface this now by like saying, well, first of all, I love Lazari's. Like, so you guys have got a great choice. From where you got the pizza, really good. I'm a big fan of that. But I'm also pretty.
You're a pepperoni person.
Yeah, I'm a meat lovers kind
Okay.
of guy. Like, pepperoni is my favorite, but generally all meat. Not big on vegetables and
Yeah, nobody likes
taco or,
vegetables.
in this example, cream cheese. So
Sure.
I'm gonna have to preface this with that part of it.
Yeah, yeah.
If I eat around the
cream
cream
cheese.
cheese, amazing pizza. Really good. It's got spice, it's got kick to it. Just perfect, really, really good. Kind of have to eat my way around the cream cheese because I'm really not a big cream cheese fan. But if you are, this is an amazing pizza. It is really good. I don't know that I would eat it until I was sick.
Yeah.
Because I try to avoid doing that anyway.
Sure.
But if I was really hungry and ate all the way to, I just can't possibly take another bite, I'd give this probably an 8.
Oh wow. Okay.
I think it's that good.
Yeah.
But since I can't eat myself sick, I'm going to have to go at the top what I can do, so I'll stick with a 6.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a good score.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
That's
That's a
good.
good way to put it?
Very justified.
Okay, awesome.
And this one's an interesting one for me. I think I liked it more as I kind of got into it. I started to get the heat. You know, because I was kind of fishing around about a 6 when I first started eating it. I think about right now I'll be about a 7.
Okay. Just a 7.
Yeah, it's very good. It's like an 8 would be, you know, it's on the edge of where I have to finish it all. I could stop here.
Right.
But it was very good.
Yeah. Favorite pizza in town that I've had so far.
Really?
Yeah, I love this pizza. I do eat it too much and eat myself to exhaustion.
Really?
And
So you're over an
sickness.
8.
I'm over an 8 for sure. I do think in its current state, as it is right now, it is slightly better than the Ramos pepperoni cream cheese. The spicy pepperoni, spicy chicken, just
Wow.
really push up there. And I'm the opposite of Ted. Cream cheese on pizza for me is an absolute cheat code.
It is a need.
Yeah, you put cream cheese on any pie for me, it's going to go up 2 or 3 points for sure.
Wow.
So I'm going to give this a 9.5.
Wow.
Wow.
This-
Is that a new record?
That is the
It's
highest
mine.
score. That's
I
the
mean-
highest score anyone's given a pizza.
I've been talking about this pizza since we started the podcast, so
Yeah.
now that we've had it on,
So you're ready, huh?
It's still my favorite pizza in town.
Yeah, Lazari's is amazing. It really
Yeah,
is.
Lazari's is fantastic.
They're, what's it called? I can't believe it's only pepperoni. They have ICBOP is what they
Yep.
call it. I can't believe it's only pepperoni.
Really?
My favorite pizza in town.
It's like 2 or 3 layers of pepperoni, right?
Yeah.
So next pizza.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a surprise at the end of the episode. Don't know if you listened to the other ones to the end, but you can talk more about pizza.
couple
at the
of
end.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So we might have to bring
That's-
that one back up.
Got it.
Well, your early comment too. You love pizza, and or you pepperoni on pizza. For me, it's wonderful. I mean, many of my favorite pizzas are gonna have pepperoni somehow involved. If I'm making a homemade pizza, it's gonna have pepperoni. So I do really like the fact this one has pepperoni. I think the spicy chicken was actually quite a good add. You
Yeah.
know, and the cream cheese an add.
I've never had spicy chicken on pizza, so this is the first time I've done that. It's really good.
I saw a picture of General Tso's chicken on pizza, and they said that they were not ready for it, but it was fantastic. So
Oh,
Well, there is a pizza here in town. We can get tater tots on pizza.
it's true. That's a good one too.
Yeah.
Just don't like cream cheese. I get
Oh,
it.
yeah.
I mean, that's olives and mushrooms for me. A lot of good pies I've had that I've just been like, you put olives on the thing, it's just not as good. Not even close.
Really?
For him, I love olives myself.
I grew up, my parents always got pepperoni and black olive.
My parents did. No way. Pizza Hut.
Right, yep, pizza, Hut, pepperoni and black olive.
Holy cow.
There's another place in Omaha that they used to do that from too. And
Yeah, I saw your. That's where I saw something. I do remember seeing that now.
Okay.
That's
That's
you
what I
mentioned
said
the
you
place
should
from
go.
Omaha, and I'm like, I'm not driving to Omaha
Yeah.
to get pizza. I do remember that
I
now.
said, you really want amazing pizza, you need to try to get it here before it gets cold.
Maybe
big-
if we're doing an episode in Omaha sometime.
There you go. If you go remote, that's another opportunity. You need to
Take
go
it on the
remote.
road. Russ and I have driven to Iowa before for things, so we could take Za on the road.
You could. Remote in Big Fred's Pizza.
Yeah.
You ever heard of Big Fred's Pizza?
That actually sounds familiar.
Yes. There's only one left in Omaha. There used to be two many years ago.
Wait.
It's down there on Pacific Street.
What was the
100
one at 27th and Vine over here? Wasn't that Big something? That Big Sal's or something?
Big
Oh,
Sal's.
yeah, that was
Okay.
Big Sal's. No,
I've
this
never been there.
Yeah,
I
went
tried it
before.
once. So,
It's kind of like Godfather's, if I remember right. It's like
Yeah.
a thicker one.
yeah, very thick.
That's another thing I haven't
Pizza
had
pie.
years in a long time is Godfather's.
Yeah. All right.
I strongly recommend Big Friends if you ever go to Omaha.
All right.
Best pepperoni pizza ever.
We're going Omaha tonight for a meetup, and I'm doing pizza from Marco's. Any thoughts on Marco's?
I've heard of Marco's and I haven't had it. I'd have to ask my brother. He lives in Omaha. I haven't tried that one there yet.
Well, we're committed because I already.
Next time you go to Big Fred's. It's a bar basically that makes pizza. That's
Close
amazing.
in terms of like, man, it's giving me a little bit more of a drive, but not this.
I just right now realize I have two things going on tonight that I have to work around. So yeah, kid pickup. All right, next
know.
question. I'm up.
I'm up.
You're up.
Yeah, you got the last one now.
Okay.
Because now it's people want to know.
Okay.
All right, we're back. All right, Ted. This segment's called The People Want to Know. This is where we collect questions from the comments and from the internet in general. And we ask the industry professionals their thoughts and opinions on something based on what the people want to know. I have 4 potential questions here.
Okay.
So you can veto the first one if you want. I'll pick a different one. So I'm just going to pick one here. I think it's pretty good. So the people want to know, Ted, if you could permanently ban one software tool or service from the company to make everyone's lives a little bit better, what would it be and why?
Ooh, this is a good question.
People want to know.
Question, but
One tool or service. Chad doesn't count.
which would make everybody else's life easier or my life easier?
I want
First one, then the other, yeah.
I want both answers.
If it was making my life easier, we'd get rid of wireless altogether.
Oh wow.
Okay. Yeah.
Hardwire everything, man. You gotta sit at your desk. But that would make your guys' lives miserable. It's kind of important around here.
Yeah.
I hate dealing with wireless.
Wow.
It's gotten a lot better over the years. It's starting to warm up to me. It's not as difficult to manage as it used to be, but in certain environments.
6 or 7 docks in every meeting room, so you always sit down and plug in.
Right, exactly. Don't plug in, go back to desktops. We'll get rid of laptops.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm kind of old school like that. But something make everybody else's life easier? Man, that's tough. I don't know. What do you guys really struggle with?
What do you get the most complaints about, maybe? As far as just like a service or tool? Azure things? Azure Active Directory, Entra things, maybe, or something like that?
I know what it is. The right answer is.
Yeah.
You probably do. I don't, believe it or not, I don't get a lot of repeat problems with one specific thing unless it goes down, like Azure, right? Like if you have a major outage, then I get a lot of, right? Hey, what's going on? Zendesk gives me a little bit of a
Okay.
problem, like issues. It's not a great platform.
Ironically, it's a
not built.
support platform.
Right. Yeah. Ironically enough. Yeah, their licensing model is bad. It's difficult to manage and keep users have access, and they can't get to the services they need because they don't have the right kind of license, and they kind of don't go around with it quite a bit on it. But yeah, that's a tough one. I might have to skip that one to give you a better answer.
Yeah.
I assumed it would be 2-factor.
Oh, that's a good call.
Yeah.
Because that's what
2FA is
everybody
a
like.
nightmare.
You hear like kind of this, if you're walking by someone's desk and they randomly grumble, you're either getting a message from me on Teams or they're being forced to two-factor.
Right.
It's one of those two answers is why they're
Yeah.
rambling and grumbling.
Yeah,
Yeah,
some of that you don't know. That's like I'm the one in the background causing that, but I don't actually tell you.
So that gives you pleasure. You're like,
Right. Well,
They're gonna
time to switch licenses again. Let's see what happens. It's going to force log them all out and log back in. Watch. I don't know why it's doing
I
this.
think we also suffer because we're in so many tenants.
Yes.
Yeah.
It has
Yes.
nothing to do with. I think we just. Now you're going to this tenant for the first time in so long, and you get hit again.
That's what I was thinking, an Entra or an AD situation or something.
Yeah.
That's always feels to me like that's the thing I'm fighting uphill against is like, I'm back in somebody else's
Yeah.
thing, and I
Right.
don't have access. And
And I'm not in other people's tenants very often, so I really don't have to re-authenticate that often. Plus, to do you guys a favor, I added our company's external IP address to the SSO exclusion list, so you shouldn't be getting prompted when you're here at the office.
for reason to come in.
That is reason to come in.
Tokens, right?
Actually, you should
Okay.
tell people that.
More reason to come in.
Yeah.
That's a big win.
The people need to know.
Yes.
There you go.
The other easy one then, because you said you want another one. What's the most bizarre or unnecessary hardware request you've had from a developer, and how'd you handle it?
Ooh.
From a developer,
Yeah. Thinking like somebody needing that light up keyboard, they absolutely have to have it, or
I got a request for LED iPhone charging plugs because they thought it would look good in the building. Like I can have a charging bar, like a place where you go plug in. You know, basically LEDs for your phone. Basically, leave the phone plugged in and
Sure.
have an LED light cable sticking out of it. You know, I could see it could fit in the culture. That was kind of weird.
was it
Okay,
Russ?
that is a little.
Did Russ
A
do that
little
one?
odd, right?
Is that you?
Other than that,
That's pretty good.
yeah, that's the most recent one I've gotten. I've gotten so many different requests over the years, but that one's that was the most recent one.
And like VR headset requests so they can develop in.
Nobody's
AR
really
environments
asked
or
me
anything?
that, actually, believe it or not. Got asked for a replacement controller on the Xbox one time,
Sure.
Oh, that's here. There you go.
right?
Somebody chuck it when they got mad, or
Must have. That was at our old building, original building. Somebody says, "Hey, we need a new controller." I'm like, "We didn't buy those, did we?" Yeah, we did. But yeah, no, I can't think of anything else. You guys are pretty good when it comes to stuff like that.
all right.
Speaking of strange requests, though, I find this fascinating, kind of your backstory of what you did during college.
Oh, my claim to fame.
One of your claim to fame.
Besides knowing us,
Besides, well,
Besides being on the show.
so that's more of a
gonna be
like your
famous.
reputation forever has lowered being on the show. You didn't know that, but
Right,
it's true.
exactly.
You're on a list now as well.
I've definitely gone downhill since my college days.
Yes, but like, yeah, that's true. A huge downhill. And you and I speak Husker football frequently,
Right.
but you kind of have more.
I can actually legitimately say over everybody else that I was the biggest Husker football fan out of
Yeah.
anybody, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and I have a reason for being able to say that. Right? I'm a better fan than you are, right? I mean, so back in college, and this was another life ago, just to say, I'm not a spring chicken anymore. Back in the 90s when we were great and we won our titles, I was fortunate enough to try out for and win Herbie Husker. So, got to run around on the field. It was a heck of an experience. I only got to do it for 1 year, but
Oh, I didn't know that.
yeah, it was my senior year actually.
Oh, okay,
I
I
had a
didn't know
light
that.
class load, didn't have much going on, and I was.
I didn't know it was only 1 year.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was sitting in the. They have to try out every year, but I was sitting in the student union and reading the rag, as they called it back then, the newspaper, and it said Herbie Husker tryouts. I was like, well, I'm kind of an idiot, right? I like to do stupid stuff, be goofy. But my first thought was, you could probably be one of those male gymnasts, right? Like, you know, because you got flip girls and all that kind of stuff. Back then, they had male cheerleaders.
They
About
do
as
again
many.
now.
yeah, they're back.
They're back now,
Yeah.
yeah. But there used to be a lot of them. There like to be 8 or 9, like in a row. Just about one for every girl too. But I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna qualify for something like this. I can't even do a backflip. But I was curious. Had nothing to do that night, so I went in, And there was only 12 people there, which really surprised me. I was like, I thought maybe there'd be a whole lot of kids wanting to do something like this. But, and they said, come back in a week with a skit with a balloon. A 2-minute skit with a balloon. That was your first job that you had to do. So I think I went home, got my boom box, blew up a balloon, grabbed a baseball and a football, because I didn't know what the heck I was going to do. And you get to put the uniform on. I'm like, this is awesome. I'm going to get to wear the costume for once, even if I'm not going to make this, but this is going to be so cool I get to wear it.
Yeah, at the very least.
I get out there, and I don't know, I can't remember what music I used. I put some music, and grabbed some balls. And I knew how to juggle back then, so that was a big deal. So I was kind of juggling baseballs, and more like a clown than I was anything else. But just being stupid, and everybody else gets up there, and I don't know, they were dancing and kind of jumping around. That was kind of a tough first interview, let's put it that way. And I didn't think I was going to make it, but called me back and said, all right, well, 8 of you made it past the first round, and we're only going to keep 4 of you, but your last tryout is going to be at the spring game. So you probably don't know that. During the spring game, when you see Herbie running around, that's the tryouts.
Sure.
They're trying to figure out who's going to do it. So I'm like, okay, now this is going to be the coolest thing I've ever done. I actually get to do it in the stadium for half of a quarter. Yeah, that was a big deal. But I'm like, I got to make a splash. I got to do something to get noticed. I got a chance to win this thing. I got to come up with an idea. So I went to the store and bought 5 white T-shirts, 5 red T-shirts. And I cut them in half down the side.
So you could rip them.
Kind of, rip them, right? So they would rip off pretty easy on one side or the other. And then I wrote different things with a black marker on every shirt. Go white, go red, right? Because I'm like, what am I going to do? Who am I rooting for? Like, this is a spring game, right? So I did that. And then I went to the store and bought a pair of white and red heart boxers. Like goofy, like Valentine's Day, like boxers, right? Because I knew I was going to be able to wear the overalls and the hat and do the whole thing. So I put that on, get the overalls on, and I Velcroed these shirts together. So I'm wearing like 8 T-shirts. It's like, 72 degrees out, right? And I'm thinking, all right, so my plan was to, go to the one side, rip a shirt off and it says go red, right? And then run all the way to the other side, rip that shirt off, says go white. And each one had a different message for both sides, right? But I only got half a quarter to do this. So I'm hauling back and forth with this head on that I've never worn before. And back then, the mask was so bad, it was about toilet paper roll holes about that big. They had mesh over them, and they're that far away from your eyes. So you can't see anything in that stupid thing when you're running. So I'm like, here we go. All right, I'm getting ready to do this. And I get all in the gear, and I come out of the, they did it in the Red Cross room, or the emergency room thing in the corner. That's where you got dressed. And back then, these big cement pillars on the ground, like right outside the door, right back then, and you're only about half high. You can't see anything below your chin.
No.
Right? So I'm like, here we go. I got these signs. I also made these signs that I was going to hold up, right? So all nervous, got them written down. And I come out, and immediately I hear kids, right? Because you get mobbed by kids because you're down in the crowd area.
You're fired up.
There, right? So like, yeah, but I can't see, and I'm kind of walking around trying, where is it? And then I feel this thunk, right? And I look down, this poor little kid sitting, laying on the ground, just looking at me. I'm like, I ran right into him, mowed him right over, like knocked him flat on the ground.
So your first experience is Herbie
Right,
Husker.
he comes running up to me because he wants a autograph, and I
Just knocked him
knee
over.
him right in the chest, take him flat out on the ground. And you can't talk. You're not allowed to say anything. Because, of course, I want to apologize to this kid. I'm like, and I'm just kind of like, I can't say anything. So kind of pat him on the head, pick him up, kind of send him on his way. I'm like, oh, that was so bad. I was embarrassed. I'm like, okay, I just got to go to my next thing. So I started heading towards the stair. Remember that cement pillar thing I just told you about? Hit that. Boom. Trip. Fall all over top of it. All my signs went everywhere. Skunned my shins up. I was bleeding. Of course, kids are running. Oh, Herbie, are you okay? Oh, God, this is just a disaster, right? Like I'm falling apart. Right? Make my opportunity. Picked myself back up, got composure, going back to did my running back and forth thing. I was sweating like a dog. ripping off.
sure.
But my goal was to get them all done, ripped off, right, with the messages, and then in the last one, I accidentally dropped my overall off, so my overalls fell down. I was wearing the red and white.
Yeah.
And I did the whole embarrassed thing, put your thing back up, and that was it, right? So I gave it my dad's videotaping this in the crowd because this is a big deal. So I still got the VH. He says he has it somewhere, but he can't find it. So I want to go back and watch that again. But so anyway, there's also and the people that were evaluating this are actual real mascots in the crowd, like the Kansas City Royals mascot was there. A couple of the college mascots were there, and they were the ones doing the grading for everybody, right? So I gave it my all, said this was great. End of the game, they come back in. All right, here's the final 4 winners. They picked one kid who did it last year, who was really good, and then the other 3 people that did it the year before were also trying out. Two of the 3. There was only 2 new people that made it to the final 8. That was me and another kid. And I beat out the other guy and called my name up, and they said, just want to say the feedback they got was, you looked really good out there with all those fake things you were doing, like falling down and tripping. And I'm like, yeah, thanks, appreciate it. That was my idea. Yeah, a lot of good. My shin a bit. Yeah, I'm glad. I thought about that a long time. I thought that would be really funny. Right? So I had to pass that on. But anyway, and the rest they say is history. Got a scholarship, $500 scholarship on it. Got all the Adidas gear that the football team got. Got to eat at the training table once a week, which was amazing when you're a starving college student like I was. So
Actually, the food there was supposed to be really good too. So
yeah, it was amazing, especially when you're eating ramen noodles.
Yeah.
It was Monday through Thursday, and then you get to go and pick like out of 5 different meats and the different things that you go to. So it's a big deal. Had a lot of fun. Did a lot of basketball games that year. Soccer
Did you do football games?
I was able to do 2 of them. You only have so many home games, right? And there's 4 of us.
Yeah.
One guy was doing Little Red, and the other 3 of us were doing Herbie, because Herbie was pretty popular back then. That was the year after we won our first national championship. So, and not only do you do sports, you've got to go around the city and make public appearances, because companies and organizations want Herbie to show up, and so that was pretty busy. Yeah, running around down doing public, appearances. And the football games I did was the Kansas State game and the Pacific game that year.
Pacific, that's where they scored a ton of points, but we scored like a bazillion points. Is that true?
No, not that one. That was the Wyoming game, I think is what you're thinking of. It was pretty. They scored more than we should have. Pacific, I think we shut out. That was the last year of their program.
So that's when we took on a whole ocean.
They closed their football program the next year.
Oh, they did? Okay.
Yeah, they were really bad.
I mean, we took on a whole ocean. That should get you.
We did, yeah. That's true. Yeah, it was like Pacific. I don't know these guys. So, but yeah, I got a lot of different stories, but yeah.
No, that's a very interesting.
So now you know how it works, right? You want to try out? Got any kids going to college? Want to try out? It's probably changed over the years, but
Probably,
it's definitely something to try to go do. It's a lot of fun.
Were you glad you were Herbie and not Little Red?
When we were originally told, we were said that all 4 of us were going to have to rotate around, do both. But the one kid that invented him bouncing on his head, you ever seen Little Red bounce on his head? He's the one that invented that back in the late 90s. He figured out how. I don't know if you know how those work. You have a big belt strapped around you with a leaf blower strapped to the side of you without the tube. And so you just flip that on, the battery, and it's really heavy, and then it just inflates the thing and run around. And then your feet are strapped in the bottom of it. So in order to flip around in it, while this thing is running, you have to get your feet undone, and you got to pull yourself from there, and you got to flip around inside the inflatable and get your hands up, and then jump up and down. So it makes
Or just jump on your head.
Right, or jump on your head. That would have been
That would be the other option.
that would have been really amazing if somebody could do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's another funny story on that too. But I don't know how much time you got.
Is it really funny?
I thought it was funny. I thought it was really funny. So, okay, real quick.
Yeah, go for it. You go for it.
So the year we were done, we actually had to help decide who was going to make tryouts the next year.
Oh, yeah.
Because there was a lot of people that came back, right? And this one kid who was going to try out decided he wanted to get in the Little Red thing, right? So I told you that this was really old equipment. It had been used for many years, right? And the way a leaf blower works, you got a fan inside of it. So they put a piece of mesh over top of it. to protect you so you don't accidentally stick your finger inside this thing because there's a fan in there. Yeah. So they had a piece of mesh on it. Well, that piece of mesh had been there a long time and it was starting to break, cut a little bit. So we're telling everybody, all right, we'll let you do this. You gotta be careful though, right? Like don't be careful. Don't get your finger in there, right? So this young freshman kid gets in. And we're strap him all up, and he's standing there, and he's doing his thing, and he's like, "This is awesome." And then, without even asking us, he decides to lay down, and he's going to try to flip around inside this thing. And it takes some practice to do that. Yeah. Right. But we're like, "Oh, what's he doing?" He lays down. I'm like, "You all right? What is it?" And then, so you can hear, you can hear this thing going, right? So, and it's like, and he's like, "Well, what are you doing in there?" And all of a sudden, you hear this. And he's like, "Oh, I need some help." Like, what happened? Like, I think I cut my finger. So we're like, "Oh, okay, get him unzipped in there." You gotta unzip it. Blood all over the inside. Just got the tip of his finger. So I shouldn't be laughing at this, but no, I think I felt really bad for the kids. He was embarrassed, and it wasn't terrible. It just got the tip of his finger, and he was so embarrassed. But I can still hear that sound to this day. So anyway, that was one of the fonder memories I had of back in the day doing the mascot stuff. So I felt bad for him, but he got out, got his finger bandaged up, never came to tryouts. Really? Yeah. I think he was too embarrassed. I think he didn't want to come out and do it. So, but yeah.
Is that person Bill?
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised.
Fingerprints.
Right.
One finger short.
Yeah,
that's right. So wouldn't be surprised. Anyway, so that's my claim to fame.
Okay. That's a good one.
That's a very good one.
Fun stuff. Good times.
Wrap it up?
Yep.
All right, so at the end of the episode, Ted, you have to make a recommendation for next week's episode's pizza.
Oh.
So you could be nice and suggest one of your favorite pizzas. You could be rude like Doug and suggest something really, really bad.
And if it is really bad, there's a chance we won't order it.
It's true.
Gotcha.
We've learned.
Yeah, we're gonna.
Now this is like restaurant pizzas, right? Or is it literally any kind of pizza?
Well, as long as we can get to it. Yeah. If it requires us to make the pizza.
Oh, we don't have an oven. That's right. Never mind.
Yeah, I mean, we could do it at one of our houses. I mean, there are options.
Yeah. Well, geez, like how many of you? I mean, I don't know.
This is episode 13.
Oh, geez.
Here's the list.
That's the stuff that we've done.
All right, let me take a look.
It's gonna be good once it gets big enough that it'll take people a few tries to actually pick one we haven't done.
And I do need to get the website right now has this in an image form. I want to get there in an actual grid form. So I think we should have like this is the pizza you should eat this week kind of recommendation.
Yeah.
Like, be thinking about this week. We could do it as a short video.
What's the name? Is Paisano still open?
Yeah.
They are, but if we do Paisanos, it has to be an evening episode because they're not open.
Oh, bummer. Okay.
We've ran into this. This has already been a thing.
Multiple people have asked Paisanos.
Yeah. I like Paisanos myself as well.
Gosh, I don't know how many more places there are. These are all like.
And it could be just a different type of pizza.
Yeah.
Like earlier, you mentioned we get pepperoni black olive.
And you're good with going to the same place twice.
Oh, yeah,
Just different
absolutely.
kind of pizza. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, then I absolutely recommend. I know it's boring, but you got to find somebody who's just.
This is my pizza I grew up on, I think, as well.
Definitely the IB.
Oh, that one.
ICBOP.
ICBOP.
Yep.
ICBOP.
Oh,
from the Czar.
Okay.
It's
That's not what I
3
grew up on. I
layers
thought
of
you were gonna do-
pepperoni. It's got I don't know what it is. I don't know what's in it, but it's just amazing.
Excessive
If you
amounts
love
of
pizza pepperoni, it's the best pepperoni pizza
Alright.
in town that I've ever had. I think it's that good.
Yeah,
But
I've
you
never
have-
had it, but I've seen it on the menu.
It's just straight up pepperoni, so just set your expectations. There's not a
love
lot of
pepperoni.
variety there, but among pepperoni pizza,
I'm pretty excited for this one. This will be a good one. Good recommendation.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get that the next time we have somebody slightly health conscious.
All right.
Someone who doesn't want to eat a lot of calories and greasy pizza.
Right.
Get the
Yeah,
real
it's
greasy
definitely not
pepperoni.
good for you. That's for sure.
ICBOP from Lazar's.
Okay, that's a good one.
RAS. Okay. So that's the end of things. Like and subscribe if you like the episode. Don't forget to ring the bell if you want some notifications. Comment below if you have a funny mascot story, or if you're missing a chunk of your finger.
There's probably a lot of yeah. If you're missing a piece of your finger, let us know.
Thanks, Ted,
We'll
for
bring you on
coming
the show.
Yeah.
And I wasn't laughing at you.
Laughing with you.
Laughing with you.
Thanks for coming on the show. Hopefully we'll see you again when we come back through all of our guests and do repeat episodes and
Awesome.
revisit some pies. Feel free to stop by and check out how we rate the ICBOP when the time
Okay,
comes.
wonderful. I'm looking forward to it.
Excellent. So till next time, enjoy that pizza and we'll see you later.
As far as you're saying, that has to be celebrities.
Or anybody. I mean, I've heard lots of stories.
I got a story that's
Yeah.
nothing. Didn't happen at the stadium,
Alright.
but it had to do with the Yell Squad.
Okay.
Well,
Thanks, Ted.
wait a minute. I don't have any names. I don't remember who they were.
This episode will be on career pathway
Oh,
for
okay.
kids.
Okay, I better not use that story.
I knew we were going down a path we couldn't go use.
I can tell you another funny story, like
Yeah.
that I took out another mascot.
Okay. Yes, this is exactly the type of what I want.
Okay. So the one remote football game I did was the Kansas game that year. So we all popped in a van and drove all the way down there. And we're not really good at getting there early when we're supposed to. Like we were showing up at the last minute. And generally when you go to an away stadium, you want to meet the mascot of the other team. Like and talk ahead of time and decide what you're going to do on the field, if you're going to do anything weird, if they're jerks or if they're nice, whatever. They had Big J and Little J back then. They had two different mascots, a bigger one and a smaller one that would run around. So we showed up and we didn't get a chance to meet them yet. So we threw our gear on. I'm out on the field running around and I can see the J's and I'm like, okay, well, you got to go interact with the others. But you also got to act like you're the ones that gets knocked over. And I didn't know who was in there. I'm assuming it's a guy, right? Because generally they're all men back then anyway. And so we get in there, we're jousting around, like they hadn't talked to each other, but we're in our suits and kind of pretending to fight and doing that whole thing. And I don't know, they hit me with something or whatever it was, and I kind of fall down because you have to, but for the away school, right? It's their home field, they got to look like they win or whatever. So I'm like, all right, you knock me down here, give me a hand up, like I reach. And then so Jay comes over, and I was just going to like pretend like pull him down. I pull, and they came down really easy, and I didn't know why. Just whack right to flat to the ground. Like, boom, and they turn around, look at me. I'm like, ooh, sorry, I didn't mean. Of course, you can't talk either. You got to be quiet. So you're like, sorry, I didn't mean that. I'm like, man, what the heck? Was he not ready for this? Like, what happened? Then you take your break. You go in, and you take your head off, and you kind of catch your breath and take it off. And it was a girl. It was a young freshman girl. It was like, I wasn't ready for that. I'm like, sorry, didn't mean, I didn't realize. This is why we should have talked ahead of time. I didn't really, was just kind of, threw you down on the ground pretty bad, and kind of everybody laughed, and so that was kind of one of my more embarrassing moments.